Good morning, ELC. Good morning, online viewers. My name is Scott Wunder, your brother. So happy to see you all today. Shabbat Shalom. Today's Torah portion is from Exodus 13:17 through Exodus 17. The Haftarah is from Judges 4 and 5, and the gospel portion is from the end of Matthew 14. I was going to get up here, and I had all these things that I was going to say, because there's so many things to say about this Torah portion that are really just amazing. I'm not going to say any of those. Instead, I'm going to point out a few things, and let's see if anybody can figure out where I'm going. The Israelites, God's people, are saved from Pharaoh. They leave. The enemy is not done with them. The enemy's coming back against God's people. Surprised? Anybody feel like that? Right? They get in a situation that they can't get themselves out of. They're stuck. They're between rocks. The enemy's behind them, and all they have is the Red Sea. What does God say? Raise your hand, Moses. Raise your hand. And we see God do his mighty power. He splits the sea. They get through the sea. God says, Moses, you see what I just did? I just did that miracle. Raise your hand. Right? Right? Have you seen God do a miracle in your life? Did God give you something that you raised your hand for, or you should be raising your hand for? He did a miracle in your life. You got through that icy week with no accident, I'm praying, right? Or you got a new job. He gave you this job that you've been waiting for a long time. Or he took you out of a bad situation. Maybe this enemy has come in and you're freaking out about it. It says they were freaking out, right? Because the enemy's coming after them. Surprise. Later on in the portion, in Exodus, it talks about the Amalekites. The Amalekites are going to come wage war against God's people. Here's an enemy coming to wage war against God's people. Anybody know where I'm going? This enemy comes, the Amalekites. Joshua's down on the ground, and he's battling the Amalekites with his army. Moses is up on the mountain, hilltop, watching it. And every time he raises his hands, there's victory. There's victory. He's raising his hands to God, but he's getting tired. So his friends, Aaron and Hur, they come and they bring a stool. They bring a rock for him. They bring a rock, the stone. That stone in Hebrew is Eben, Aleph, Bet, Nun. In Paleo-Hebrew, Aleph stands for father. And Bet and Nun stand for son. They brought the father and the son for Moses to rest on, and then they held up his hands. He couldn't do it himself, brothers and sisters. He was trying to do this work for Joshua and his people, but he needed hands to help hold up his hands. We can't do it ourselves. All right, let's go to Judges. In Judges, we see this heroine, right? Deborah. And I'm not talking about Deborah. She's a fine lady. She is the prophet over Israel. And Barak, I don't know, Barak sounds better to me. He's the commander of the army. And Sisera's coming after him now. Sisera and the Canaanites. And they're coming with 900 chariots. Pharaoh came with 600. This is a bigger army, bigger problems. And guess what? I read this portion like 15 times in like 3 different versions. And I never knew it before. But did you know that the Kishon River, this body of water, wipes out most of that army? Another body of water taking out God's enemy. And check this out. The commander, he's the only one alive, Sisera. He lives and he escapes, and he goes into this house of a woman named Yael. Now, if I said the phrase, blessed among women, you are more blessed among women than any other woman, who would you think of? Miriam, right? The father of our Savior, Yeshua. This is a term that is used for Yael because she does something that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. This commander, Sisera, comes into the house. He asks for water. She gives him milk. She covers him up. He falls asleep. She raises her hand. She's got a tent peg, a stake in one hand, and a mallet in the other. And man, she just puts that right through his head. Sisters, you have been given authority. You are children, daughters of the Most High, to destroy what comes into your house that does not belong. Let's go to Matthew. Oh, and you guys know this story. Peter sinks in the water. You have little faith. I got to be honest, as a kid, I was a Lutheran. A lot of my neighbors, most of my neighbors were Catholic, and we made fun of Peter a lot. Oh, Peter, little of faith, because that would really tick off my Catholic friends. But Jesus feeds the 5,000. He sends the disciples out on a boat, and it's a sort of a big boat. It's like 28 feet long, 7 feet wide. It's not a small boat. Sends them out on the Sea of Galilee. He goes up on a mountain. He comes back down. He's walking on the water. And this water is basanizo. That's the Greek word term that's used. And it means vexing. It means harassing. It means torture. Doesn't that sound like the water that took out God's enemies, the Amalekites? Doesn't it sound like the water that took out Pharaoh? Very vexing and torturing. This is like crazy storm going on. Jesus was walking through. They think he's a ghost. I mean, not only you got a storm going on, but you have a ghost, It's really sort of a strange situation. But Peter says, if it's you, call me. If it's you, Yeshua, call me. I'll come out. And Peter gets out of the boat. Have you gotten out of the boat? When was the last time you got out of the boat? Trusting that it was Yeshua calling and you were going to listen. You were going to obey. And Peter, he's got his eyes on Yeshua. And he's fixed and the storm is raging around and everything is great. And then he takes his eyes off of Yeshua. Just like us, we take our eyes off and fear sets in. Peter's sinking. Now, come on, I said it several times. What did Peter do? He raised his hands. Yeshua, save me. Save me. Now, I guess I'm talking like everybody here and everybody online has been saved. That you're all followers of Yeshua. But I just got to say, if you are not a follower of Yeshua, if you haven't given your Lord to Christ, and you feel like you're sinking, you're drowning in the water, and you can't get out, you can't do it by yourself. You've tried to fill your life and with all these other things that don't satisfy, and you feel like you're drowning, and people don't even know it. You get a smile on your face, you think you're looking all good, but inside, you're going through some torturous, vexing, harassing times, and you're not going to make it out unless you reach out to Yeshua, the one who can save you. You got to reach out. Now, brothers and sisters, if you've already done that, you're still getting in these situations, right? Every time he saves you, every time he saved the Israelites, time and time again, what did they do? They get saved at the Red Sea. They sing a song and dance. They sing, they dance, they worship God. What does Moses do after they get rid of the Amalekites? You know what he does? He gets down and he builds an altar. And he's building an altar rock by rock by rock, fitting it all together because he wasn't supposed to use any mortar. He's down on his hands and knees after God saves him. What did Deborah do? Deborah sings this song. They're singing. They're worshiping the Lord. And if you look at this tiny little sentence, after Yeshua saves Peter, they're worshiping. Now, I don't think they're worshiping like this on the boat. Maybe they were. Maybe they're down here. I don't know what they're doing. But they got saved. And he is worthy of worship. Now, you might think, when is this all going to end? Because these storms keep coming and going. The enemy is not done with us yet. In Revelation 15, it talks about those that overcome the enemy will be on a sea of glass with harps. What is a sea of glass? I think it's peace. There's no more vexing, torture, tumultuous pain. They're standing on the water. And guess what? They start singing the Song of Moses and the Song of the Lamb. So with that, I just encourage you, get up on your feet. Let's worship and praise the one who saved you. Let's get on our knees and worship the one who saved you.